Alrighty. Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classics as Non-Classics. This is number 1401 and Doubleshot number 1297. Alright, first up is the finale for a trade series. Excuse me. It is Green Lantern Corps Volume 5 Uprising. Yes, this book collects Green Lantern Corps issues 28-34, the second annual, and Green Lantern Volume 5 issues 31-33. Now, I'm not going to talk about the Uprising arc, which takes up issues 31-33 of both Green Lantern Corps and, of course, Green Lantern. Mostly put in the case of 28-30, it just basically a lot of stuff dealing up toward Uprising, where you continue the let's say the continual partnership of John Stewart and Fatality, and then in 34, it's just basically dealing with the aftermath of the Uprising arc. Yeah, it deals with the finale for this thing, where it reveals that Fatality was never actually in love with John Stewart at all. Nope, it was all the ring. Yes, the Star Sapphire forced a woman in love with John Stewart. Yep, that's the simple gist of that. I'm like, really, Ben Jensen? Really? Yeah. Though, I should point out, though, I think Ben Jensen himself later on just writes his issues by himself. Of course, you have many different artists on here. Of course, Ben Diddy writes some of the issues in here. We have Bernard Chang, Neil Edwards, Billy Tan, Tom DeRink, Rob Hunter, and Jamie Mendoza. The cover here is by Stefan Savagalia and Andrew Dalehouse. Yep. But as for the what's here, it's pretty good. Definitely. I'll give this book roughly 9 out of 10. Final thoughts on this whole era. Well, for the new 52 run of the Green Lantern Corps. Yes, all 6 volumes. This one I checked out from the library. Yeah, pretty much these 6 books here. Probably show these off here. Let's see here. Yeah, these 6 books here. This is the entire run of the New 52 era. Basically, post-Flashpoint Green Lantern Corps. Library book. These 2 books I own. I got some up here to Demasi. And then you have the Robert Day Ben Jensen run, which the thing with this particular run, and a lot of people point this out though when it comes to the particular run, is that the book itself, excuse me, was meant to be pretty much a mirror image. It's basically a flip coin of what's going on in the main Green Lantern book. That's the way it was for most of the series. I would say up until Uprising was like that. Because basically, if you look at basically all these issues, this is simply put a John Stewart series. Yeah, it's all about John Stewart. Kilowog himself doesn't really appear very much in the book at all. It's mostly all John Stewart and Fatality. Though that wraps up by issue 34, and the final 6 issues of the series just, well, deals with 2 different things, Godhead, and of course, well, a 3-parter that kind of in a way wrapped up the series before it led into Green Lantern Corps Lost Army and Green Lantern Corps Edge of Oblivion. Now, in the case of the issues in here per se, now I don't have a problem with the fact that they actually threw in the Green Lantern issues, because it makes sense they throw these in here because it's the other side of the flip coin. But if I were basically the one in charge of creating the trades for this series and Green Lantern, I would have left out the Uprising issues. Yeah, I don't think they're completely necessary. And I would also basically, in the case of this book here, kind of the same thing. Basically, what I would have done is take these 2 books and just combine them to one. Just take 30 to 40 out of this trade, and just basically leave 35 to 37 in Godhead, and just basically combine these 2 trades into one. That's basically what I would have done. And it's kind of similar with this book here. I would not include the Green Lantern Annual or Green Lantern 24. Would I keep 25 in there? Yes, I probably would. Even though it's part of a different story arc per se, I don't have a problem with that being there because that's a standalone one shot. 24 has no business being there at all. This book, take out the Uprising issues, it doesn't really affect much of anything. I mean, if you look at it, basically, if you don't count the crossover issues per se, like, even though, yes, this is roughly 20-issue run by Robert Venditti Van Jensen, the Venditti stuff, I think, wraps up with issue 34, and Van Jensen does the last 6 issues by himself. Like, if you take out the crossover issues, which is basically 24, 31, 32, 33, 35, 36, and 37, excuse me, you have roughly 13 issues right there. And you can presumably easily put this in these 3 trades into, like, probably limited to 2. Now, my final thoughts overall on Robert Venditti's era for the Green Lantern books. Yeah, this pretty much is the end of Robert Venditti's run. Basically, we talk about it. Because I've already discussed this Green Lantern stuff. And, well, basically for Green Lantern Volume 5, that's all done. Which was only about 32 issues. There is this book, he did Van Jensen. And Howl's Green Lantern Corps. Yeah, that's simply it. Yep, that's simply it when it comes to Robert Venditti. Now, in my opinion, this series should come back. Yeah, we have the regular Green Lantern book by... I don't remember who was the current writer of the book. I have to look it up in here. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay. Let's see. Let's see, the current writer of the main Green Lantern book was, well, let's see, it is, if I can find it here, Jeffrey Thorne. Though this is the, they say it's the 7th volume, yeah, it kind of is. Though here's kind of the thing. Would I mind another Green Lantern book alongside with this? No, I wouldn't mind at all. Now, when this series ended, and when it's Nestor Corps, when they ended, basically when they ended both Howl's Green Lantern Corps and Green Lanterns, and replaced it with just one Green Lantern series. This was back in, let's see, how long ago was this one? Like when they did Grant Morrison's run of the book. It wasn't like very long per se. No, not really. Let's see. Though the book itself was under the Green Lantern, but technically I do count it as part of the actual book itself. Let's see. Here it is. 2018. Yep, 2018. So, yeah. Basically, just a few years ago when they launched the Green Lantern, it was the first time in 14 years there have been just one Green Lantern series. Just one. Because for a long time we had Green Lantern Corps. This published from 2005 up until 2015. For 10 years this book published. Now, have I finished reviewing that particular volume? No. I've only reviewed a small chunk of it. Yes, only a small chunk of the book. Yes. Yeah, let's see if I can find it here. Here we go. let's see, for this volume itself, let's see, I reviewed War of the Green Lanterns, Revolt of the Alpha Lanterns, Blackest Night, Emerald Green Lantern Corps, and Stins of the Star Sapphire. Yeah, roughly 3 trades. Well, I technically already covered Recharge for this particular era. Yes. Basically, all that's left to go for the previous volume, because I've covered a little bit of the first volume for the series. All that's left is the first 2 trades, To Be a Lantern, Darkside Green, This Ninja Corps War, Ring Quest, Emerald Escape, The Weaponeer, and Green Lantern Corps Aftermath. That's it. Basically, a lot of trades. I'll probably review these trades at some point. Right now, in the case of this book, well, technically there's still 1 trade left to go, and that's Green Lantern Corps Lost Army. That'll be reviewed at some point. But as the main ongoing book, it's done. Basically, for this era. Yep. Though, it's not a terrible book. No. I just kind of feel as though we need more than 1 Green Lantern book. Yeah, it's strange though, for the past 3 years, we've only had 1. Just 1 book. Alright, moving on to a different book, we have Age of Conan Valeria. Yes, 1 of 2 of these miniseries. Yeah, this is the second one published. The first one was focused on Belladita. Bellet. Yes, she is, well, the lover of Conan. Basically, was his primary woman he loved. This one is another woman I think he loved at some point. This is mostly put her backstory, this one. Now, this book is written by Meredith Finch. Yes, 1 of 2 Conan books written by her. The other, of course, being 1 issue of Savage Sword of Conan. I believe it was issue 6, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, this book is roughly just 5 issues. And the artwork has 1 artist on here. You have Inaki. Now, the cover art for these issues are done by Jay Anitio and Ramado Fajaro Jr. Yep, that's who does the cover here. I'm not going to show that page here. But yeah. The artwork in this book is really good. It's interesting, though. This is one of those rare books. Now, normally, Meredith Finch, a lot of the time, when you see a lot of her work, with the exception of, I would say, probably Little Mermaid from Xenoscope and her Tales of Oz, mostly a lot of the time she works for her husband, David Finch. Yep. Usually, a lot of the time over the past few years, he's mostly done just covers. This book, I don't think he does any covers. No. That was kind of weird. Yes. Because normally he just does covers. Like usually does the main cover or he does variant covers. Now, the reason why he has the interiors in the past 4 years, because he's busy writing a book. That's simple just of it. Now, basically, the premise is it's basically like a swashbuckling pirate story set in the hybrid age. That's the best way you can describe this miniseries. It's definitely good. I think Meredith Finch herself does an absolute fantastic job with this book. Oh yeah, definitely. She faces betrayal, and she has a revenge. She's basically her own self-styled pirate in this period of time, in the hybrid age. Yeah, and here's something interesting to look at this. Like, she's a woman in this time period who wears pants. Yes, pants. In a period where women a lot of the time in Conan books dress like this. Yeah, she's one of those rare characters who do. And yeah, here's the thing. Conan himself, like, if you're even like in Savage Avengers or the one of the spin-off books in present day, I think it's like Battle for the Silver Crown, apparently he has no problem seeing women in pants. Despite the fact that he would have reactions to like, oh, look, a woman wearing pants. Even a lot of times she basically dressed, well, how women dress at that point. Yeah, the way that all writers tend to write Conan, it seems like he has no reaction to see a woman wearing a pair of pants. Yeah. This is an absolute great book. And I did recommend if you are fans of Conan. and Meredith Finch, because this book is really good. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Now, in the case of Conan himself, well, I reviewed most of the Conan stuff under the new Marvel stuff. He hasn't put out that much stuff. Not really, no. Aside from his main book, which is Conan Valeria, you have the brief spin-off ongoing series of revival of Savage No Conan and multiple miniseries. You have this one, Bellatia, Conan, the two Conan with the Silver Crown one, and that's it. He also had a few one-shots for him, which is quite nice. And let's see, what else was it? Oh yeah, he's also featured in Savage Avengers, one of 2 books featured in Modern Day, which I love. Savage Avengers is an absolute great book, and I can't wait for book 4 when it comes out, because it's that damn good of a series. I think that Marvel in this current era for Conan is doing an absolute fantastic job. Now, in the case of miniseries for Conan under Marvel, this is nothing unusual. No, he's had a lot of miniseries. Like, if you look at how many comics it was published under Marvel originally when they had this character from the mid-70s up until the mid-90s, up until the early 2000s, they published a lot of stuff for this character. A lot. But mostly, lately, they basically trimmed it down to just the one book, Conan Valeria. Which, okay, keeping the book around is perfectly fine, because that's basically Conan. That's Marvel's bread and butter when it comes to Conan. Savage started Conan, unknown why that series ended after just 12 issues. As far as I can tell, it was never announced to be a 12-issue maxi series. It just happened to be that way. And Marvel just loved publishing miniseries for Conan. I mean, it's kind of like Marvel's given the same treatment to Conan that they gave previously to Deadpool. In case you're curious to know currently, is there any Conan miniseries published by Marvel right now? There was one, Dark Angus. But the series got cancelled after only 3 issues due to the pandemic. But yeah, in the case of Conan himself, as of right now, you have Bellatia, and you have the first trade to collect Zim Jibs around. That's all I got left to go for Conan of the current regime. Yep. So yeah, that's it for a particular review. Next up, a couple Doctor Who reviews. Okay? See you next video. Bye.